Welcome back to the B Block, or second section of this week's Cannabis Coast to Coast newscast. I'm Alaina Pinto. Don't forget to download our free app, PCMTV, on the App Store or Google Play, and that way you can watch our news every week with just one click, starting on Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern. Now we turn to California, where there is always something going on in the cannabis world. We may as well start with the number one cannabis personality in the world, and that would be Snoop Dogg. If he's not at the Olympics, he's on the Today Show doing weather or appearing as a coach and judge on The Voice. Well, did you know he was a resident of Long Beach, California? Probably didn't surprise you, right? Well, now that community might be one of the first in the Golden State to issue a single-day open consumption permit, but it would be for a special occasion. You see, Snoop Dogg's 53rd birthday was last weekend on October 20th, and the Long Beach City Council is starting a 60-day study on the social and economic impact if they were to have an open consumption birthday party for Snoop next year.
T wants to know, who was the lightest weight smoker you've ever lit up with?
Damn, who was lightweight? There's so many of them. They featherweights. There's too many to name, baby. Why don't you come join me so I can add you to the list?
I have joined you, and I did okay. But Snoop has a guy with him when he gets you high who kind of says, hey, stop.
That's enough.
Yeah.
And admitted two things. One, he does have a full-time staffer whose job it is to monitor consumption of anyone who hangs with Snoop and might have a little too much product. The other thing Snoop admitted was that he probably smokes 81 blunts a day. Not sure what is the daily intake for our Virginia correspondent, Joe Parsons, but it's never enough to stop him from coming up with interesting stories week in and week out. Here's Joe.
I'm Joe Parsons with the Virginia Cannabis Connection. And this is Bob. This is the Virginia Cannabis Report on Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Pro Cannabis Media and myself would like to wish everyone a happy and safe Halloween week. First out the Commonwealth, the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority recently announced that its ad campaign for safe driving has won 4 national awards for its public service announcements. It was an honor considering our PSA ads were in competitions with other huge giants like Amazon, Netflix, and Toyota. They took home 2 golds by the Bulldog PR Awards and the NYX Awards, and 2 silver awards from the New York Digital Awards and the Muse Awards. You can check out these award-winning ads on the VCCA's YouTube page. Now, in the spirit of Halloween, do you know who the scariest person who hates cannabis is? Whoa, that was scary, and he definitely hates cannabis. But that's not the person I'm talking about. I'm talking about this guy. That's right, Freddy Krueger hates cannabis probably more than anyone. Let me tell you why. Multiple studies have found that cannabis can affect your ability to enter REM sleep. REM sleep is when you begin to dream. Some studies point out that this is one of the plant medicine's major drawbacks, and even label it as a negative side effect. However, over 10 million adults, including myself, suffer from night terrors. True story. While fairly common for children, with roughly 30% of children having extreme night terrors at some point in their life, mine never stopped, well into my early 20s. I used to feel like Nancy from Elm Street.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
I was afraid to go to sleep. But after I became a regular cannabis user at the age of 21, I noticed that my nightmares almost completely disappeared. Now the only dreams I can remember are either funny or pleasant. That's if I even remember them at all. I usually just fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed, like no time has even passed. It's been fantastic. Studies show that if you like to dream, it's best not to consume for up to 4 hours before bed. But if you're like millions of people, including myself, that are trying to keep this guy out of their heads, then cannabis is an all-natural remedy that can change your life. Happy Halloween, everyone. That's going to do it for the Virginia Cannabis Connection, and reporting from Cannabis Coast to Coast News, I'm Joe Parsons with Bob. Until next time, stay lifted.
No matter what state enacts cannabis reform, regulators and lawmakers want to make sure that those who have been most impacted by the failed war on drugs get a shot at applying for the cherished licenses. In New York State, they made a mess of the rollout and have seen thousands of illegal shops open, willing to pay the fines as a cost of operations. Then lawsuits were filed and regulators were let go. But now in Arizona, the courts are giving a break to those social equity applicants. Here's Karen Black with that story and more from Arizona.
I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting with the Arizona Cannabis Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. In a significant legal victory, a Maricopa County Superior Court judge ruled in favor of local dispensary operator Juicy Joint 1 LLC, putting an end to the attempted takeover of its license. The case involved social equity license awardee Annabelle Vasquez, who abandoned her original company and struck a deal with Moaz Nani and Chip Boyden to own the majority stake in another entity to which Ms. Vasquez transferred her license. The court upheld arbitration findings that confirmed Vasquez breached her duties, leading to the restoration of the license to Juicy Joint. The ruling highlights ongoing challenges within Arizona's social equity program, as some investors and large companies have been accused of exploiting it. Tax revenue from Arizona's cannabis industry surpassed $20 million for the 34th consecutive month in September. The Department of Revenue reported over $22.4 million generated last month, a slight dip compared to the same time last year. The state has collected nearly $70 million this fiscal year to date and over $1 billion since adult use sales began in January 2021. The Giving Tree Dispensary is giving back. They've launched a new cannabis education service tailored to older adults. The initiative, called Cannabis 101 for Seniors, aims to help older Arizonans understand and navigate the world of medical marijuana. The program offers one-on-one consultations and covers topics such as the various cannabis products, consumption methods, and potential benefits for age-related and other health conditions. Can pre-rolls lead to a payday? They will for one lucky Arizona cannabis consumer. Mazor Collective announced it will give away $10,000 next February. Customers can enter to win by purchasing a new limited edition sneakers brand rolled and ready 5-pack and submitting the unique code found inside. The winner will be announced on Valentine's Day. A very sweet surprise indeed. That's all for the Arizona Report. I'm Karen Black from Greenfinger Consulting reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
What's with pizza all of a sudden becoming a target for rogue operators? In Wisconsin this week, someone used THC-infused oil in making pizzas from October 21st to the 24th. That got dozens of people ill or very high, depending on your perspective. They all ate pizza from famous Yetis in Stoughton, Wisconsin. An oil container in that shared kitchen facility tested positive for THC. The owner of Famous Yetis is cooperating with the investigation. Meanwhile, in Germany, it's a little more serious when cocaine was served as a side dish on pizza number 40. Needless to say, this pizza became quite popular until law enforcement busted the owner of the Dusseldorf pizzeria and released him when he agreed to cooperate. Then, police took down a major distribution ring and arrested 3 more suspects. You might want to think twice the next time you order a slice to go with everything on it. Now let's check in with Tina Tasaka for her Nevada Cannabis Report.
I'm Tina Tasaka with 420 Technologies, and this is the Nevada and Tribal Nations Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. CLS Holdings USA, Cannabis Life Sciences, a diversified cannabis company that acts as an integrated cannabis producer and retailer, through its Oasis Cannabis subsidiaries in Nevada, has partnered with AE Global's Talk Trash initiative to introduce certified plastic negative packaging at its Oasis Cannabis dispensary in Nevada. This initiative aims to prevent over 27,000 pounds of ocean-bound plastic in 2025, equivalent to more than 1 million plastic bottles. The dispensary's new exit bags, made from 20% post-consumer recycled material, removes twice the amount of plastic used in their production. CLS plans to expand sustainable packaging to its City Tree brand, positioning Oasis as a leader in eco-friendly cannabis retail, balancing sustainability with quality and innovation. Planet 13 Holdings, Inc., Nevada, just opened its 28th dispensary in Florida and 32nd nationwide on October 19th in Port Orange. Co-CEO Larry Scheffler highlighted the region's growing population and tourist appeal. Quote, "Florida continues to be a cornerstone of the Planet 13 growth strategy, and we're pleased to expand patient access and strengthen our presence on the East Coast of the Sunshine State with the opening of our 28th dispensary in the state," unquote, Planet 13 co-CEO Larry Scheffler said. Lastly, let's all have fun this Halloween, and one way that you can be safe includes the Nevada Zero Coalition, which is providing $1,500 in free Lyft ride credits in Las Vegas and Reno from October 26th to November 3rd to promote safe, sober rides this Halloween. With 44% of Nevada's fatal crashes linked to impaired driving, Zero Fatalities program manager Anita Pepper urges residents to avoid driving under the influence, whether from alcohol, cannabis, or prescription drugs. That's it for the Nevada highlights and Tribal Nations. I'm Tina Tasaka with 420 Technologies and Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
In Vermont, a strange case of a grow farm that was the target of thieves who were helping themselves to someone else's legal cannabis plants. The alleged crime happened in Bennington, Vermont, and was caught on security cameras. The owners of the farm, Jesse Cook and Zachary Lake, alerted the local police department and were able to identify one of the trespassers. The owners and the police set up a sting operation for the return of the plants and arrested the thieves at that time. Now they face up to 11 years in jail for their crimes of grand larceny, criminal trespass, and unlawful mischief. In Maine, they have another problem. Tainted cannabis from a Nova Farms grow facility has been recalled for mold contamination. Over 20 dispensaries carried the products from the Nova Farms facility, and now Maine regulatory officials want all of those products off the shelves. Plus, any already existing products should be returned, allowing the consumers to get their money back. One more note from the state of Michigan. Falling prices over 600 licensed dispensaries and poor management doomed one of the state's biggest businesses, and Skymint fell into receivership last year. And this week, the auction of the remaining assets were sold. Amie Carter is in Michigan and has more.
I'm Amie Carter with Michigan Weedsters for this week's Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Former Michigan House Speaker and the former chairman of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Licensing Board, Rick Johnson, lost his latest attempt to leave federal prison years early when a federal judge denied his request. Just last month, federal agents seized Johnson's 40-acre hunting property in northern Michigan because Johnson failed to pay over $100,000 for a judgment stemming from the largest public corruption scandal in Michigan's capital in 30 years. The Michigan Weedsters recently joined efforts with We the People for Cannabis, Rally for Justice and Truth, Deschedule, Not Reschedule, which is being held on December 2nd. Assembly 7 a.m., rally starts at 8 a.m. It is across the street from the DEA Museum at the rescheduling hearing. 700 Army Navy Drive, Arlington, Virginia. Over 43,654 comments were submitted on the Federal Register for the DEA scheduling proposal, making it the most comments in history for any proposal. 70% of those comments are in favor of descheduling, not rescheduling. To find out more, go to deschedule, not reschedule.info. Meds Cafe in Ann Arbor has been voted best dispensary for a beginner in Washtenaw County for 2024 Metro Times. Congratulations to the Ann Arbor team. Meds Cafe is also in the news this week for expanding. Not only can you find them in 7 different locations here in Michigan, you can now find them in Key West. The first cannabis bar in Key West, Florida has officially opened. Stop by 221 Duval Street where they have good herbs and great vibes, 21 and up. That will do it for this week. I'm Amie Carter with Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
That'll do it for the B Block, but we still have more state reports and the story about why women are now bigger consumers of cannabis than men. All that and more as Cannabis Coast to Coast News continues after this.
In serene Springfield, Ohio, Ethan battles anxiety and persistent body pain. Seeking relief, he turns to Yellow Labs' Calm THC cream, offering tranquility via delivery technology. Massaging in the cream, Ethan feels waves of peace and serenity easing his anxiety and tension. Empowered by the remarkable relief, he sets out on a journey towards healing and renewal. Drawn to Yellow Labs' transformative offerings, the Calm THC cream becomes a beacon of comfort, soothing both his physical and emotional pain.
Yeah, it's a great question because cannabis is very exciting. It's almost like, mom and pop drugstores. You could start whatever you wanted. You could be pretty successful. And then there are the business people who see the revenue potential. And those are the ones that I think they are going to become the buyers going forward. And then smaller companies will be the sellers. And then there'll be another group of like, what the heck happened? And there'll probably be some craft survivors as well. But I think, the access to capital and business, this is becoming a mature business, just like craft beer or the car industry from, the 1910s to today. Yeah, I think Schedule 3 will have radical changes. I think we're going to see consolidation in the space independent of Schedule 3. Schedule 3 will influence the flavor of the consolidation, but it's going to happen no matter what.
Will that open up more capital?
It'll open up more capital, more access. One way or another, as the industry consolidates, they're going to have to get access to capital. The buyers will, and that's going to change the markets fundamentally.